What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to the Tour Junkies golf show on the Better Sports Network for the final major of the season, the Open Championship. It's not the British Open. No, I mean, and we are Americans. I'm an American. Pat, you're an American.
Yes, I believe so.
I do call it the Open. You know, people are mad about it. People are talking about it. There's some stuff swirling around again this year about, is it the British Open? Is it the Open? You know, you and I went to Scotland last year. We paid homage to our, the early fathers of the game. And, you know, I mean, if I were Scottish, if I were in the, in that part of the world, I would, and I created golf and I created the Open Championship. I would want to be the Open, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Americans don't want to call it the Open because we want to define it as the British and the US and I don't know, it is the Open, you know?
I have zero issues with calling it the Open. I think it should be. It's the champion golfer of the year.
Yep, love that.
Which I love. I think that's
great
fantastic.
title.
Yeah, it really is. I want to be the champion something of the year. You know?
Well, I mean, you're going to be the champion outright picker of the year.
I would like to. I don't know. You could go on a roll. Actually,
we haven't talked about that. Let's see. If you lose, okay, so we have this week the 3M, the Wyndham, and then we have 3 playoff events. Is that right? We don't really handicap. We don't really do East Lake.
Yeah.
So we really have 5 weeks left. If you lost the next 5 weeks, you would still end the season, let's say, up 50, 45.
Probably around 40 to 45. Although I don't like limit myself to only 5 units like you do on your card.
Yeah.
So this week I can tell you that my card is over the limit. You're over the limit. If they're going to test the unit percentage, the unit alcohol percentage, I blew whatever it is to get pulled over of too many units.
You blew a big unit?
I blew too many units.
Guys. Okay. Well, I was just trying to stick to math. Somebody said blew the tip.
Yeah.
I was just trying to stick to math. But so theoretically, though, if you completely whiff for the rest of this season, which is when we reset things, you would end the season likely down, let's just say up 40 to 45 units.
Yeah.
Just on average.
Yeah.
Because you're up 71 units now.
71 and a half.
I am down 35 after now I'm down 30, but I've already published the DB's Big Balls betting card for the Open Championship. I've already published it. Dropped it today.
I like what you did with it, by the way. I like what you did with it.
Yeah, spent 5 units there. So I've already spent 35. Let's just say I win this week. And on average, most of my wins earn me back 30 units. So it is possible, Pat. I mean, how crazy would that be? How crazy would that be if by the end of the season, I actually do end up with more units than you? I would have to win 3 out of the next 5 tournaments, and you'd have to lose all 5. You have to not have a win.
Yeah. Highly unlikely. But it can happen. It can happen. And I like your optimism.
Oh, I'm not optimistic about it at all. But I'm just saying how crazy it would be.
Yeah, it would be.
I did have Bobby McIntyre at 80 to 1, and he didn't. Well, I think he did enough. Bobby did enough. Bobby shot 6 under in terrible conditions in his motherland home country where everybody loves Bobby. He shot 6 under on the final round in the Scottish Open to finish at 14 under. And Rory just had to blow it for everybody. You know, Bobby's crying walking off the 18th green. And Rory birdies the last 2 holes, improbably, to win by a shot. And rip me of my 80 to 1 win that would have put me back to even. But maybe more so than that, to rip Bobby Mack of his first really big victory and the people of Scotland from having a hero the likes they've never seen since William Wallace. You have to ask me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a strong statement there, but I would say it was, they ripped They ripped the hearts out. Rory did it. You know, it was tough, but and he kind of laughed his way through it. Just stomped on him on 18 and said, "All right, I've won another National Open. Check y'all later. Going to the Open Championship now." Were you planning your victory lap yet? Because I have a feeling you kind of were. I kind of have a feeling. We haven't even talked about this yet. We on none of our shows this week, but I have this feeling deep down you weren't touching the money yet because you knew there could be a playoff, but
my hand was in the jar. I was reaching down. Yeah, I mean, because, dude, the scoring was not there at the tail end of Sunday as they were finishing. The wind was brutal. The conditions were brutal. Nobody was birdieing 18. Bobby birdied it, but nobody was birdieing 18. 17 was a hard birdie. And, I mean, Rory was the only guy that even had a chance of catching Robbie McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I just, even though I knew it was Rory and, like, obviously he's talented, I just didn't think it was. I genuinely thought, holy crap, I finally did it. It took a 6-under out of nowhere, amazing round from Bobby Mack in brutal conditions, but I finally got it done. And I literally thought it was just going to be a matter of time. And then when he birdied 17, I mean, I honestly still thought 18 bogey was very much in play. And then I was like, well, it's going to go to a playoff. At least I'll get a playoff sweat. I never thought he was going to birdie 18 ever.
No, it was a pretty good shot that he hit in 18. Pretty nice shot there. You know, but Bobby Mack too. I mean, his round was probably one of the better ones we've seen all year. I think Rory even said that. But it just wasn't meant to be, DB. It's coming though.
No, it was meant to be. Rory just no, it was meant to be. Rory screwed it up. And then he apologized. Like, what a dumb Tiger would have never done that.
What if it's all the bad things you've been saying about Rory all year long? Maybe you should have been nicer to Rory and this wouldn't have happened. You know?
He apologized. It was a tough Sunday afternoon. I was in a dark place after that happened for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen this before out of you.
I was in a dark place. So, you know, this week, the Open Championship, I do feel like I took a little bit different of an approach on the outright card. You and I talked about it on our betting show. Talked about that kind of range. Obviously, Rory and Scotty and Scheffler, kind of or Rory, Scotty, and Rahm are your three favorites. Brooks has kind of crept up there. We've seen a lot of movement. We'll talk about that. But, you know, specifically for my betting card at 25 to 1 or longer, I kind of told you I felt really torn trying to make decisions between about 5 or 6 guys from that 25 to 1 to 35 to 1 range. And I didn't know whether or not I wanted to go with like 1 or 2 of them and have a 10-player card that would have a lot of bombs deeper down, or if I would be a little tighter. And I feel like I kind of went in the middle, but I kind of leaned a little tight here. It's the leanest, one of the leanest cards I think I've had all year. There's only 7 names on it, 1 name over triple digits.
My only critique is that you chose 7 players. I'm not sure why you couldn't make it 8 or 6. That's okay.
My God. It's for people that are watching that don't know, Pat is a extremely OCD individual and does not like odd numbers. So anyway, I'm happy with the card. Of course, I'm like, I don't feel confident. I will say that I don't. I mean, I feel confident. I like the guys I picked, but I don't think I'm going to hit a winner. I think that Rory or Scotty or Brooks or Victor is probably going to win this thing. And I think all 4 of those guys are out of my price range on the Big Balls betting card.
Yeah, I noticed Brooks has changed a little bit here.
Yeah,
just in the last day.
It's weird how every year the Open seems to get so much more late drift in numbers than any other major. And I guess usually maybe it's because we're all waiting for some sort of weather wave advantage to happen, as that's typical here at the Open. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case at all as of Tuesday afternoon recording this. The weather for Thursday and Friday looks pretty standard and equal across the board. That could change quickly, but we have seen a lot of drift. I mean, when the books opened on Monday, I felt like it was Rory, Scotty, Rahm, Cam Smith.
Yeah.
And now like Brooks and Cantlay have seemingly kind of leapfrogged Cam Smith a little bit. And I wonder if it's some of the talk about Liverpool and how it's set up off the tee that's maybe scaring bettors away from Cam Smith and towards guys like Brooks and Cantlay, who just, hit it long and straight.
Cantlay has really changed a good amount. Like, he was 28-1 when we were talking about him on the betting show yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And how now he's moved all the way up to, I think, 22-1 or 20-1.
Yep.
So that feels like some of the biggest movement. Koepka from about 22-1 to 18-1. But so obviously those are 2 that are getting some action. I can tell you that Koepka and Hovland have ended up on my card, DB.
Well, that's good because I like both, and I want at least one of us to hit a winner. So,
well, they've ended up on my card, and I've had Fleetwood on my card for at least a few weeks now. But I actually thought when I got him at 25-1, I was doing pretty well. But he's really just stuck at that number, which is kind of surprised me a little bit. I thought he might shorten a little bit, but
I did too. You can get him at 28. So Fleetwood was one of those guys in that range that we talked about that I was torn on. And I wanted to pick 2 out of Hatton, Fowler, and Fleetwood. Mm-hmm. And I ended up kind of going with my gut in terms of to close the door and finish off a tournament. I might actually trust Fleetwood a little less than the other 2, but I still think he's going to win. I still think he's going to win at some point, but I trust him a little less. And the sharp overseas books liked Hatton and Fowler a pretty good amount more than Fleetwood, and they actually had head-to-head matchups against each other.
Yeah.
So I just took him off for that reason. But I do like Tommy Ladd quite a bit. If I only had 4 or maybe even 6 names on the card, I could have maybe also squeezed him in. He would probably have been my last guy out.
Can you imagine if Hatton comes down the stretch? So there's all this talk on social media. You've seen it about this out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's almost in play, actually. Like, it's just like it's inside the gallery line.
Yeah.
The out of bounds marker along the right side of 18. Can you imagine if Hatton has a lead and he hits it out of bounds on 18? He is going to go absolutely ape crap. Oh, I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be hilarious, but also he could pull one of those, he could do one of those things. What was it? Was it Happy Gilmore who there could be a Happy Gilmore moment with his caddy and everything else if this happens.
Yeah, for sure. I hope to see it, but I hope that I'm seeing the meltdown simultaneously while another name on my card is going on to win. But
exactly. Yeah.
I want to talk about that internal OB later with our guest coming up here in just a few minutes. You know him as the founder of Moonshot, Kenny McAndress, been on the show before. He's going to be on here joining us in the next segment. But before we get to him, we talked to Kessler Karain on the betting show on our show Monday. And Kessler is the brother of Patrick Reed, as well as his caddy. Kessler was at Royal Liverpool in 2014. We talked to him a little bit about the golf course. We took a few clips from that because I think it's interesting to hear his perspective on how Liverpool is maybe going to play a little longer than anticipated. So let's take a look at a clip here from our boy Kessler Karain.
Back in 2014, but I couldn't tell you. I barely remembered anything. But one thing I did remember was it was a lot firmer back then, a little dusty out here. Whereas this year, it's super lush and green. And so it just feels like a lot longer of a golf course. I mean, we've had a lot of 5-irons and a lot of holes where I just don't remember that. So not getting a ton of run in the fairways. So instead of hitting a lot of 2-irons or 3-irons, a lot more drivers and 3-woods than you would think.
So Kessler talking about the strategy off the tee there. A lot more drivers. The ball's not going to be rolling out as much. There's also been a lot of talk about these fairway bunkers, and that being in these things is virtually a one-shot penalty. I mean, I've heard a lot of that even today in a lot of the press conferences.
Yeah, no, it is. Which is, that happens. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, you do.
Because I've been in a lot of them over there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you it is definitely a penalty. Patrick Reed seems to like those bunkers, though. He likes to take pictures in there. Did you notice that?
Yes.
I know. I wasn't expecting to bring this up, but then it came to mind. What's going on there?
What was that about?
Tony needs to find that and bring it.
Tony, can you find that? Bring that in.
I mean, what's going on?
It looked like. You know what it looked like? It looked like his senior pictures.
It did.
He was graduating high school, and his mom was like, "Where do you want to do? What do you want to do for your senior picture? Oh, let's go out to the golf course and let me do some on-course shots for the senior yearbook."
The way he's holding the club is very awkwardly.
One with his foot propped up against the bunker, the one leg prop. This is very strange. I hate to pick on Patrick the week that Kessler comes on the show and does.
Kessler's great too.
Kessler's he's been a great guy to us. But geez, it's just that is an interesting. Anyway, let's hear more from Kessler. We asked him also about the greens, kind of about the surfaces out here at Royal Liverpool. Let's see what he has to say about those.
On the green, they're rolling true. There's not a whole lot to them, not a ton of slopage, but if you're just off, that's where it gets really tricky. Guys putting off the sides of the green, that's definitely something we've been practicing a lot because even with Patrick's hands, some of the chipping, you just can't chip it. So if you're just off, you're going to see some really funky putts from just off the greens. But once you're on, it's nothing too crazy. Not a ton of movement.
I love that he used the word slopage there. Kessler's just a real bro. Love that about Kessler. Yeah. So talking about the greens, interesting that not a lot of chipping, or you said it's harder to chip around these green surfaces. So that's kind of interesting. Finally, we asked him, or I think you asked him, which was a good question about the winning score. What his prediction was for the winning score, which is something that we're always interested in to understand. Is par going to be more of your friend than typical, or is this going to be a little bit more of a birdie fest than we think? So let's hear what Kessler had to say about the winning score.
A tough course, and I just don't see a ton of holes with a lot of birdies opportunities. You just kind of have to look at, like on the front 9, 2, and 4. Those to me seem like holes where you can kind of make some money on. But on it, once you get to that back 9, it just seems like you got to basically make your money on the front and kind of hold on the back and take advantage of any chance you get. I would say, high single digits I could see if the weather is tamed.
Yeah.
If the wind and the water and the rain start picking up, then who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I always love asking that question, but I was a little surprised. I thought we'd get a little higher number from him. Like I was, we saw Tiger win here at 18 under. I don't think we're going to see that, but I was kind of thinking low teens, but he was more in the high single digits. But again, a lot can change with the weather. We'll see.
I think with the amount of rain that's already come and that's coming to this place, I think it might be in the low teens because these guys are going to be able to throw it a little bit tighter into those greens, have a little less runoff situation. We'll see. I mean, the weekend does look to get a little nasty with weather, but Thursday and Friday look pretty optimal. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network, our buddy Kenny McAndress making his second appearance here on the Tour Junkies Show. Stay right here. Coming back on the Better Sports Network.
Matt Dorich here, live at the Scott Fishbowl 13 New York City Draft at Tito Murphy's. The first round of the Shake Shack division is underway. If you could believe it, team number 1, you're going to love this, Mike Lipchenko selects Tua Tagovailoa. quarterback, Miami Dolphins in the 101. An unbelievable, surprising pick here in the 4th spot. From the game day, Scott the King Engel. How does he start his draft? Not with a Seattle Seahawk, but the Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen will lead Scott Engel's team. He's right here. King, what do you think about Josh Allen to start your team?
I didn't think he was actually going to fall to me. The Tua Tagovailoa pick was off the board. Mike said he was going to pivot, so it was just a matter of who's going to fall to me. I just always think about, okay, who's the top guy on my board, who's going to fall to me. But having Josh Allen at 4 proves that every draft has a different flow and you never know what's going to happen.
Bobby Cable's here. Tell us about the Scott Fishbowl charity personally touched your family.
So basically, when I joined the military, when you get called up, you don't necessarily get money right away. It takes 30 days for any money to hit your account. And what I'm telling you is that if it wasn't for people like Scott Fishbowl and Toys for Tots, my family wouldn't have had a Christmas. So stuff like this, I'll Hulk smash somebody for, because without it, my family would legitimately not have a Christmas because of it.
Scott Fishbowl and fancycares.org, of course, break the hold. Amazing job for everybody to come out here. And look what we've given ourselves here. A whole Saturday at a New York City bar to ourselves. No family, no job. Some of us working. But really, fantasy football party here with the best people in New York City together. So congratulations to everybody.
Making you money in daily fantasy sports and golf betting. Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
We're breaking down everything for the Open Championship here on the Tour Junkies show. It's the last major of the year, so you know what that means. Fantasy football is that much closer. Drafts are already being kicked off. Training camps open this week, and football is almost in full swing. And to get all the info you need to dominate your league, head on over to fantasyalarm.com and check out the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Football Draft Guide. You get cheat sheets, one-stop shop for dominating your draft. It's all digital, too, constantly updated with new information. You can purchase the draft guide for $26.99 or get it free with a monthly or annual subscription to Fantasy Alarm. You can start your free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm All-Pro and even get immediate free access to the draft guide there. So please go check out fantasyalarm.com. Get prepared for all your fantasy football drafts. That's coming up for me and Pat, too. I'm excited about that coming around the corner. I can't believe it's already here. But that's usually what the Open, we roll away from the Open Championship and crowning the champion golfer of the year. And we start thinking about, damn quarterbacks and tight ends and where we're going to, how early we're reaching for Mahomes and all that good stuff. So
the running back talk is a deal this year. Everybody's talking about how running backs are dead. I don't know if I get that, but that's what they're saying.
Maybe we'll
these running backs are pissed too.
They are pissed. They're revolting. Maybe we'll ask our guest. He's definitely a football god in the betting streets. And he's making his second appearance here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. You know him as founder of the Moonshot, Kenny McAndress, Mooney Gang, rocking the Siwoo shirt. How we doing, buddy?
What's up, baby? DB Pat. Guys looking dapper as always. I couldn't not rock the Siwoo shirt. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, he's not going to be on my card this week, but it's in the top of the t-shirt rotation. It's too fresh.
Yeah, it is in mine too. We're just going to go wherever with this because, Kenny, we talk to you all the time. We know you love you. Spent Masters Week with you and your family here in Augusta. So we can just jump around because we got all the time in the world. I will say this. Siwoo got a lot of love in the sharp head-to-head betting markets that I was looking at earlier today. Because, he's not on my card either. But I kept finding myself surprised. Let me see if I can find a couple lines. I kept finding myself a little surprised that the sharp head-to-head markets kind of loved him the way they do. Okay, here's one for you. Name a short knocker who's been very good in recent Open Championships and very good lately. Can you name him? Pat, you too.
Harmon.
Brian Harmon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was Brian Harmon.
Siwoo, sharp head-to-head book, -117 favorite. That's not a huge favorite, but he's a favorite over Brian Harmon. I thought that was kind of odd.
Other than I think he took 15th last year, and other than that, he's got no real Open history. And I try not to buy into too many of the trends that the same people are looking at for majors. I think there's maybe a little bit more to say for the trends for a tournament like the Open. I don't know. There's something about this, but I don't love that he hasn't played in 3 weeks. I think the one thing that does seem to stand out is like you got to just be coming in like immaculate form within the last like couple of days, it seems. I don't think he's teed it up since the Travelers.
Right.
And he broke my heart at the US Open. I was all in on the Siwoo train for LA Country Club. And it looked like early on he was going to be able to contend. You got out to a great start Thursday and just kind of hung around, but never really made any noise. So I'm not going to be going there this week, but that is an interesting line there. I got to be honest.
Yeah. That one made me kind of raise an eyebrow. We came in with the football talk, Kenny. You are you're kind of a god in the football betting streets. I know it's not necessarily fantasy football for you, but I mean,
no, I wouldn't say that, but others have said that. I've heard people say that.
Yeah.
All, frequently.
Like the thousands you print money for in your Discord. What about what are your thoughts on this running back situation?
It's interesting, man. Again, the power of the athlete just continues to get louder and louder as fun places like Twitter allow for these conversations to take place. But it makes a lot of sense, right? You can see it on both sides. In terms of just pure value, it's true. Running backs have a shorter shelf life, and therefore, as a GM, it's difficult to, I think, appropriately value these guys. But then if you're the running back, you're like, hey, we have a lot of star power. Like the running back on most good teams, I think they're, the heaviest part of the brand outside of the quarterback. And they're a core part of the team. So, where do you meet in the middle there? The one thing I saw floating around, and I think this would make a lot of sense, is either if you're a running back that gets drafted, you either come in on a 1-year deal and there's like maybe a more generous sort of pricing structure for running backs, or let any running back come out of the gate as a free agent. So, because I think what's happening is these guys are coming in on rookie deals. They're essentially in their prime, their second year of their career. And by year 4, they're, they want an extension, but they're probably on their last leg. And why would they extend you for, $60 million when
they can get it?
We can draft literally anybody out of the SEC. So I think you have to value their time better at the front end of their careers. So whether it's some, draft contract restructuring or something like that, there's a lot of energy here, man. Every single big name running back has spoken out on this in the last 24 hours. So it's really cool to see. I think I don't know if you'll see anything as drastic as like a striker or something like that. But I do think you're going to see a lot more holdouts this year. And I think maybe by this time next year, there could be a new way running backs are compensated. Because I think there's a fair argument on their side, but I also see why teams aren't being, willing to extend them. So there has to be a way to compromise here. So we'll see.
Man, that's big. A new way running backs are compensated. I mean, this is a big change right before our eyes. I actually heard something on the radio before as I'm racing to get here in time. Somebody was talking about, I think it was a best ball draft or something, of a 0 running back strategy. I was like, how does that even work? Like, how do you
best ball?
Yeah, I mean, aren't you supposed to take, like, aren't there rules against something like that? I don't know.
So correct me if I'm wrong. When they say 0, I don't think they necessarily mean 0 on your
they don't mean not to have one,
but like not in the first 4 rounds. And even in recent years, as running backs have gotten, for lack of better words, I don't mean it like almost like disrespectfully, but like more and more irrelevant in terms of just, I would say the NFL offense. There's always been at least like 8 or 9 surefire workhorses that you just have to burn your first round pick on, just because there's not enough of them. And I think now there's just so few that it doesn't matter who you have, stack up everywhere else, and maybe have a couple of guys you circle. I personally haven't even begun to dig into fantasy draft stuff just yet. I try to hold off until like August 1st until I really lock myself in a bomb shelter and get into the weeds. So I've got pretty much the second week clear the Open. I got nothing on my plate until NFL starts.
You got to wait till they crown the champion golfer of the year. Then you can kind of move into that.
Yeah. This is a golf show. So, I mean, I am intrigued to talk to Kenny more about the running back stuff, which maybe we'll get to at another time. But we got to move forward. And, Kenny, we were showing clips before he came on of Kessler, Karain, Patrick Reed's brother-in-law, talking about the golf course, talking about how it might play into the hand of longer players. It's going to play possibly tougher than we may have anticipated. But before we get into that and kind of breaking it down and handicapping this thing and getting your thoughts on some bombs, as you're usually pretty good for some of those, hopefully we have this Patrick Reed picture. I would love to get your reaction to this. Look at this picture. I mean, just leave it up here for a minute, Tony. I mean, just give me your initial reaction here, Kenny. Talk about this. What do you
when he got up, did he leave like a full ass imprint into the wall of that bunker? Because it looks like he is hoisted up there, man. There's some serious balance there. Look, I would love to know who took this picture and who went, hey man, you look great. Actually, you know what? Pull the leg up just there you go.
Yeah.
That's the money shot.
If you told me, if it weren't for the 4 aces gear, I would swear this picture was from the 2014 Open Championship. Because his pants are baggy AF, and then the whole pose is just very old looking.
It is a baggier look. It looks like he got drafted in the early 2000s. Like he's just rocking total swag right now.
Pat mentioned the club, leaning up. Tony says he's grounding the club right there. Look at his cheek. He's grounding the club. He's probably even gathering data from his ass cheeks in terms of the face of those bunkers. What's going to happen if I hit it into the face of one of those? I'm testing the firmness. It's just funny.
Really getting up and close with the angles.
It's the funniest picture.
Is there a chance he's trolling us with that picture?
Probably.
Could Patrick Reed
be
that clever to do that?
I'm not saying he's not clever, but I am saying he's not that clever. There's no way.
I don't know, man. I think he's definitely embraced sort of the heel brand that has been stamped on him in recent years. And he knows that anything he does, good or bad, is going to get some sort of weird reaction to it. I think he might be savvy enough to just go, all right, this is a weird look. Let's see how this goes.
It's an amazing picture.
He's like, yeah, what if I wedge my ass into the side of this bunker and take a photo of it?
I can't get there. Maybe you watch the juvenile Tiny Desk performance and he just wants to back that ass up into anything he can do. Remember when that was a thing back in Kenny, you're probably too young. Yeah. Remember back in the day when Tom Green was a big deal on MTV and he would just do my bum is on my
bum is on your lips.
And that was the thing that took over and people would just take pictures of their bum on things. Maybe Patrick's throwing it back to Tom Green.
I can't believe we got to Tom Green, but no joke. I watched Road Trip 3 months ago, I think, for the first time in a while. So my Tom Green is fresh.
It's funny you say that because Amy Smart popped up on a feed the other day and it said she was born in 1976. And I'm 77. I'm thinking, damn, Amy Smart is that old?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for her. She looks great.
All right, listen, I gotta talk some moonshots, some long shots. DB gets to talk to you all the time, Kenny, but I think there are some really good long shots in this field. I mean, some really good ones that we can look at. I mean, DB and I can talk the favorite. We just did a few minutes ago. We talked about the favorites. We could do that all we want. But I kind of want to know, what are the first couple long shots you're really kind of keying in on so far this week?
So I've got 4 guys that are all over 300 to 1 that
holy
I want to at least just
I got weak in the knees when he said it. Damn.
A suggestion of sprinklage. Some of the odds they're hanging on, I think, that are just quality golfers with upside in a tournament that, look, if you can get behind the belief that anyone can win, if you can think that's possible in any major, I think the Open, even if recent trends don't show it, I think you pretty much got to be in the top 40 world golf rankings. If we call it top 50, I'm looking at 3 guys that are all within the top 51 in the world that have winning upside, some of great experience in Opens that I just think could pop at the right time. So I'm going to just fire these in order here. I want to just see, I'm going to give you a couple names just before I say anything. I want to get the initial reaction on some of these names here. But I think there's some serious disrespect on guys like Taylor Moore, Tom Hogue, Emiliano Grello, and I love Scottish Ricky Fowler, Ewan Ferguson.
Okay. Ferguson was getting some steam and some talk last week, actually, and I think was maybe first round leader. He was up there. So.
He was up there. He took 12th last week. I think he was 4th at the British Masters. Just peaking at the right time, and I think in a tournament where a lot of people are going to be looking at Ricky, and we can get into the lower end guys, maybe some of the narratives if we got time at the end. But I do think it would be funny if a lot of the hype is on Ricky Fowler winning a major, and you were right. It was just Scottish Ricky Fowler, of course, Ewan Ferguson. So I don't mind him there. And then look, Hoagie at 400 to 1. I don't really know what to make of this. In a really, really down year for the guy, popped pretty much out of nowhere at the Scottish last week. It's just because he putted the lights out. His he's been really bad off the tee this year, and it sounds like on a course like this that could be problematic. But at 400 to 1, you're just like, you're kind of just rolling the dice like, hey, does he find it one week? Because otherwise the approach numbers look really good. And again, if you can just stay moderately hot with the putter like he did last week, great with the long irons. It's far and away the best part of his game here. And again, the guy can win golf tournaments. I know he's never really popped in majors here, so that would be a bit of a trend buster. But at 400 to 1, I just think like him at his best is way better than that. I mean, that's just like, you're up there with, I mean, some of the prices in this range are like, Hurley Long's 500 to 1. I think Tom Hoagie's probably got a bit of a better shot. And then I think Grillo, you can make the best case out of any of these guys. 350 to 1. I think he's played in 5 British Opens. He's top 12 in 2 of them. I mean, on paper, this has to be the best year of his career by far. He's got a win. And he's doing it on lots of different courses too. I think in back-to-back weeks, he was top 10 at like Harbor Town and then in Mexico, which are like just 2 drastically different types of golf courses and different tournaments. So just like, he's just doing it everywhere. Again, I think Grillo can contend. Now, do I really think any of these guys are going to be holding the claret jug on Sunday? We shall see. But I think there's legit winning upside on a few of these. And gun to my head, like Grillo at 350 to 1 might be the best price in the entire board.
I do like, so out of the few that you named there, Grillo is the favorite. I mean, you're right. It's easiest to make the case with him, especially the open history and how that's usually an indicator or a requirement for somebody to, we're talking about winning here. We're talking about an outright. And then from there, I think I go with Taylor Moore. Obviously, he would have no experience at the Open Championship to speak of, but young guy who's come out and very early in his career proven it on the PGA Tour.
Like I would say this, not to cut you off, just Moore of the 4, I think is probably the hardest sell. If you just look at just recent data, Moore might be the hardest case to make. And yet of the 4, I think if any one of them wins, like I think he has the most winning upside. I mean, when he's got it, he's just got it.
See, I think he's clearly the second favorite in that because, I mean, to me, Hoagie is, I'm not interested in Hoagie at all. Hoagie does not, I understand that he popped last week. That is fine. The ball striking has to be absolutely money for Tom Hoagie. We're talking about a guy who's been on tour for a long damn time. He's won 1 time. And he won a birdie fest short course. Everybody plays to the same spot on the fairway, and you play him from there, and he had a spike iron week, and he won. And I like Tom Hoagie, but he's won 1 time, and as long as he's been on tour, I just don't see it happening. He's done nothing on links tracks, nothing at the Open.
All right, so I get it. You're out on Hoagie. So
I would toss him out. So I would rather take the young, unknown, cockstrong Ricky Fowler, Ewan Ferguson over Hoagie. But you can't justify taking him over Taylor Moore just because of the level of. I mean, he may be a stud and he may prove to be a stud, but he's not proven that yet. But you can't take him over a guy who's been a young stud on the PGA Tour playing against the best golfers in the world on a regular basis, even though, yes, Ferguson gets a little bit of a check mark in terms of experience playing on links courses, I'm sure, over Taylor Moore. But in terms of closing the door and winning a tournament and having to, you're talking about hitting a 300, 400 to 1 outright on a guy who's literally going to have to beat down, Scotty Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, some combination of the biggest names in golf. Ewan Ferguson may, crap, vomit, and explode in his pants all at the same time if given that opportunity. Taylor Moore might actually pull it off.
Shots gained pants, like shots gained soiling pants.
Shots gained holding it together. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Like the first name on my entire list here, I just have the most random assortment of notes that go in no particular order and would probably be an indication that I have like a mental illness. I have Taylor Moore as like my first bullet point. So I'm with you.
Yeah. Let's look at the history here. I mean, you had Ben Curtis and Todd Hamilton back-to-back winners in 03 and 04. I don't know what their odds were, but I'm pretty sure they were very long. A guy like a Taylor Moore who's won this year it's not inconceivable that he can win. It's not inconceivable that now this guy at 300 to 1, but Seth Straka's 200 to 1. He just won 2 weeks ago, and he's playing great golf, and he's won now multiple times on tour. So he's another one. Like, I just feel like there are a lot of players in these long shot ranges that you can conceivably see winning this week when we have not seen that, all year long on the PGA Tour in most events or in majors. We're not really seeing any of these long shots, but that's what you tend to get in the Open Championship. And by the way, Tony putting up here, Ben Curtis was 300-1 in the 2003 Open. So,
I mean, look, one thing that I just feel like we're not getting a unified stance here on how the course is going to be playing. I mean, again, just you had Kessler on here saying how difficult he thought it was going to play, how long it was going to play. And he thought, at best, high single digits, and worse than that if the weather doesn't cooperate. On books, you're getting as high as 15 and a half, 15 and a half under for total score. And then yet you look at a book right now, like on FanDuel, you got guys to shoot even par tomorrow at about even money. So they're just nobody has any idea how to handicap this in terms of how hard the course is going to play. And then, again, Kessler said he thinks distance is going to be a huge factor here because of it's softer. You're not getting as much rollout. And then in the Koepka press conference, he said he didn't think this distance mattered at all. Now,
I saw that today.
Maybe he hits the ball really far and he's like, I don't know. I assume everyone can hit it as far as I can. I don't know. Maybe he would have a different view of it. Like if in your practice rounds you're getting pummeled because you're not hitting it far enough, maybe you're more likely to realize that. But Koepka didn't think it was going to matter here. So I don't really know what to think. I do know that Hoylake as a town looks awesome. There's a pub there called Plasterer's Arms that seems to be the place to be in town. So I wish I was there slugging a couple pints with you guys, figuring out how this tournament was going to play. But I have no idea. It doesn't look like there's going to be a weather wave. I have no idea how this is going to play. And because of that, I want to just throw some darts. I think this could just be that nobody has any idea what's going to happen. It's going to be random chaos and Taylor Moore is going to just win.
So, I mean, I wanted to have you on, and when I knew you were coming on, I wanted to talk bombs because that's really your specialty in all cases, NFL, NBA, baseball, whatever you're doing. That's what you do in the Moonshot Discord. So everybody should check that out, by the way, if you haven't already. But okay, we started off really, those were big bombs. I mean, me and Pat both were reacting when you said 300, 401, but you can really make a case for guys in this 200 to 300 to 1 range, which, these are the names I was really tempted to possibly put on the card. I would start with Jordan Smith at 300 to 1 with a tremendous links record, T12 last week, T20 at the U.S. Open, good Open Championship record, hits it plenty far, checks all the boxes in terms of stats on the DP World Tour at 300 to 1. Now you're talking about guys in here that also are not going to be wide-eyed and kind of out over their skis because of the Open Championship and the caliber of player here. You're talking about veterans, guys like Jordan Smith, guys like JT Poston's playing really damn well right now. Harris English could be an interesting fit. Kurt Kitayama at 250 to 1. Maronk's at 220 to 1. Sepp Straka is at 200 to 1. That one is very tempting to me.
The Straka one, the Straka one, when you just look at this list, I think it's the first one that really, really jumps off the page at you, for sure.
Yeah.
I was looking at Harris English again. Same reason that I'm a little hesitant on Siwoo is that he hasn't played in almost a month now, right?
Just had his baby. Just had his first baby.
It was his first kid too?
I think it was his first kid, yep.
So does he have new baby swag and he's going to win this thing, or is he going to come DFL?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but at 250 or whatever, it's I might be able to stick around and find out. You're not going to lose a lot,
So, dude, if you need distance, let's just say, okay, Kessler's more right than Koepka. You need distance here. You got to be able to just hit drive or put it in the middle of the fairway and move the ball down. Did we go back and take just a quick glance at lefty? 350 to 1? Come on. Just ball strike city?
Nah. I don't know. Apparently, we don't feel too comfortable about it. I
think we were just at one major too early, right? We were all in on the post merger, Phil's walk and put his Don on the table and feel good, and we were off by a major because we did it at the U.S. Open. It didn't pan out. We're afraid to go back to him at triple the odds at the British. I don't know, man. I think Phil could at least just be in the mix just for a bit here. It would make for the I think that would be the best scenario of the weekend. You already know who's going to be somewhat hanging around. Nobody below 100 to 1 has this smidge of star power that Phil has. I think he's the wild card of this weekend. If he's second round leader, it is bedlam on the PGA Tour.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think another one out there that we need to look at is Gary Woodland at 175 to 1.
Yep.
I think Gary Woodland is, I mean, this is a major championship winner. He's playing well lately. He's gonna, I mean, you look at the stats for him. I mean, he's pretty accurate off the tee. His ball striking is great right now. I mean, he's 6th in this field over the last 24 rounds in ball striking. I feel like Gary Woodland is definitely mispriced in the books with that 175 to 1 number I'm seeing. So,
yep, I agree with you on Gary. Gary and Sepp were two that had my betting card gotten longer, and I left out some names at the top and saved a little bit of some partial units. Sepp and Gary would have been on there. I mean, Gary's like a little bit like what we talk about with Finau. Like the off the tee play, the ball striking, the iron play has been very solid. Mm-hmm. It's just been the putter has been pretty bad. And for Gary, that's normal. I mean, that is very normal. That's not very normal for Finau, but that's the only thing holding them back. And I just don't feel like that's going to matter that much here relative to other tournaments.
The only pushback on Gary is that, like, just ever since the U.S. Open, what he has in common with Finau up until recently was like, I'm really good at golf. I hit the ball far, and I can't win tournaments. Like, I don't think he's won since the U.S. Open, and
he does,
man. I think for me, I think it's just the Wilson logo. I don't think I've ever like looked in the mirror and like admitted that to myself, but I think just somewhere deep in my subconscious, I'm like, Wilson. I'm like, oh, like if you were good, you'd wear something else. I don't know.
Wilson, that guy must be a winner. Yeah, nobody really says that. You're right.
Yeah.
What does it stand for? Wombo? I don't know. I think just for, and honestly, maybe because he was in our junk bomb last week and he lost too. I don't care if he got it done. The junk bomb didn't hit and Woodland was a part of it. So therefore I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess we're also talking about, we're talking outrights here, but all these guys would probably be, I'm assuming, some favorites for top 40s for some bombs. Speaking of the junk bomb. I had a few others, I think, written down here. Top 40 I thought were nice. I mean, I mentioned Jordan Smith. Victor Perez plus 280. Top 40 I thought was pretty good. He had a good Scottish Open.
So I had a couple just questions written down here for like the, for just the narratives and things of that nature. Like, what do you think would be the biggest disappointment? Like, is there more pressure on Rory or on Scotty? Like, I think Scotty not winning a major in like the statistically most impressive ball striking season in the history of mankind, I think would be like downright disgusting. Like, you would look back on this year, like what happened?
I feel like there's more pressure on Rory this week, and it was added by winning last week. I think that and Rory has too much pressure anyway. Every major, he's got more pressure than anybody else because it's been so long since he last won a major. Scotty, everybody still feels like they're coming. There's going to be more. I think there's a little bit of just this thought out there that is Rory going to get one. I mean, I'm sure he believes it. He's pretty confident of a guy, but I just feel like the more of the pressure is on him.
I just think he hasn't won a major in forever, but like he just won the FedEx Cup, and I think he's even said, whether he believes this himself or not, he says he almost equates that as if it were a major. I don't buy it, but and then I think just winning last week, it's just like, all right, I just won a big tournament. I've won here before. Like, yeah, I think I can win, but it's like there was legitimate heartbreak when he didn't win last year. Like, just in the fashion that he lost to, just just played great, could not sink a 20-foot putt on the back nine to save his life.
But he sure could on Bobby McIntyre last week.
And he sure could on Bobby Mac last week, right? And if the two guys named Cameron don't have the two of the single most historic final rounds of golf ever, Rory wins last year. So just like, I just don't see that. I think if Scotty's in the mix and then just misses like 7 5-foot putts, and that's the difference between him losing to like Fleetwood this weekend, I think that would be the biggest disappointment of the year.
Yeah, but Scotty, to me, the Rory thing is still 34 years old. He's Rory. Sure, he has some good years in front of him, but you are on the down. You are going down. Your career arc is on the way down.
Is that true though?
I think now it is.
Using historical data, sure. Like 34-year-old golfers are worse than 27-year-old golfers, up until this point in history. I just think it's flattened a little bit. I think it's flattened off a little bit. I think like you can play as good like at their borderline peak up until they're like late 30s. He's got years of prime. He's driving it further now than he was years ago.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm not. It used to be back in the day, you didn't win a major until you were in your 30s.
Yeah,
and that is not the case anymore because these young guys come out hot and ready to go. But I just think what I'm saying is compare the two. He's much older than Scotty. He's what, 10 years older than Scotty or 8 years older than Scotty?
Yeah.
And he's been dealing with it for 9 years of when the next one's going to hit. And with every one that passes that's not a win, it's more and more, it's another little bit of extra pressure. And now you're at the one that was the site of where you won it last time, and you just came off a nice win and you're playing great. I mean, the Scotty thing is, I agree with you. It would be a disappointment, but it's like, I think for the most part, people realize, well, hey, that's golf. And like, it takes a certain bounce here and there, or a certain break here and there, or a certain one extra little thing to go your way or not go your opponent's way here and there to get across the finish line. And he's had all these top 5 finishes.
That's golf. That's golf in general. It would be a true statistical, like, out of this world anomaly for him to not win a major this year based on the shots gained data. Like it's almost impossible that he doesn't have 6 wins this year. Like, it really is, man.
It would be a letdown, but So maybe that's the biggest letdown, but I think the more pressure is still on Rory. And I think if you hear the press conference today from Scotty, which I did, he does not seem like a guy who's A, bullshitting us at a press conference, and B, like he's feeling any sort of pressure. Like he literally said, I mean, he seems like a guy who has his perspective in such the right spot, and he's just not going to force it. And the majors are going to come when they come, and the wins are going to come when they come. He's just going to keep doing what he's doing. And it just feels like he is not feeling it. Meanwhile, Rory is not dealing with press conferences. He's saying, no, I don't want a press conference. I don't want to have to answer questions about either Liv or me winning another major. Right? Like,
it's hard to blame him. I mean, it's like he's going to get asked.
It is hard to blame him, but I'm saying, like, that to me, that's indicative of I want to try to keep as much pressure off of me as possible because I know I've got enough on here for everybody to go around. But I mean, who are you going to be the most disappointed in if they finish T40 or worse? Scotty, because statistically he's been unbelievable, or Rory, because it felt like it was always Rory's to win, and we were all waiting on it to happen, and he just won, and it didn't happen, and he looked flat as shit.
But I think like that happened last year though. Like everybody thought like he had all the pressure in the world at St. Andrews, like at the crown jewel at St. Andrews. And then he got humiliated in front of the entire world. Like, I just don't think it gets worse than that. Like that is as down as a man as you could possibly get. Also at the peak of the Liv bubble. And then the guy that beats him at St. Andrews defects to Liv like a week later. Like that is as low as it gets. I just think like any situation has to be better than that. And he's coming in here at least, in a better spot than he was last year.
Listen, we got to take our last break, come back. Kenny, thank you for being on. Everybody needs to check out the Moonshot. The Discord is always hopping in. If you're not in the Moonshot come NFL season, you are turning your back on loads of cash. So check him out. Our boy Kill Kenny. Where should they check you out?
Twitter at Kill Kenny. You can find me there, or just search the Tour Junkie stuff, and I'll be popping in and out of there as well. DB Pat,
right.
I love you both, man. Thanks, guys.
Awesome to have our boy Kenny McAndress on. We will probably get him on again in the dog days of the golf fall season when, the tournaments are a little lackluster and the NFL is rocking and rolling because seriously, he's one of the best NFL handicappers out there. Saw a lot of people win a lot of money with him last year. So I plan on doing that this year as well.
Quite entertaining also, which is
a lot of fun. Good guy to talk to. All right, Pat, we got to get out of here on our cash lineup, which did not cash last week, right?
No, it didn't.
God, we can't get the streak going. I think we're probably doing pretty good, but we can't get a streak going.
Yeah.
Build the streak here. All right. Cash lineup, DraftKings, 50-50s and double ups only. This is not a tournament lineup. We are not concerned with ownership. We're not concerned with leverage and all that stuff. Where are we starting? I'm going to let you start it off, my friend.
DB, I think I want to start with Tony Finau at 8,200.
Okay, I like how you're taking me to the middle here, right off the bat.
I'm going to take you to the middle.
Boy, we are both just taking on the Tony Finau Kool-Aid.
We are.
I'm here for it. I'm here. I mean, I'm doing it. We're going to build a very balanced lineup here, despite pricing being rather soft. But I think the cheapest absolute lock in cash. He's going to be super popular in DFS, but he allows you to do so much with the salary. It's $6,800. The egregiously mispriced Bobby McIntyre.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think he is going to be super chalky, but I'm fine with it. I've got to take us up to where we just finished off with Kenny, and I talked about it earlier. Tommy Fleetwood. Yep. I really think we got to have Tommy Fleetwood in here. It definitely could be his week.
I'm loving this lineup already. I think this is shaping up to be a very nice lineup. Trying to decide if I want to go. All right, I'm going to stick with another. I'm going to keep us a little bit lower in the price, but a guy with a great links record, playing well right now, played well last week, hits it far, has major championship experience. Ryan Fox at 7,400. I would say we probably won't go anybody lower than him in these next two picks. We have 91.50 averaging left for these next two.
I like that. I actually almost started with him. Almost started with Ryan Fox. Okay. I think now we go to a former Open Championship winner from just a few years ago, and we go to 9,100 Shane Lowry.
And that makes it easy for me. We're going to spend all the salary and go Dustin Johnson. I really, really, really like this lineup. Now, this probably would – whoa.
Sorry.
God. I don't know how well this would do in a tournament. I mean, Bobby Mac's going to be popular. Fleetwood's going to be popular. DJ's looking like he might get some love. I don't know. This might could fly for a tournament lineup. We'll see. But the cash lineup, again, is Tommy Fleetwood, Dustin Johnson, Shane Lowry, Tony Finau, Ryan Fox, and Robert McIntyre. That's a juicy cash lineup. Again, 50-50s and double ups only. Just trying to double your money, trying to finish in the top 40% of lineups. That's it for us. Listen, final reminders, the Open Championship. Don't forget to check weather late on Wednesday. If you have a chance, hop in our Discord. Come find us in the Discord. We'll have 2 chats going on Wednesday, one around 1 p.m. Eastern and one around 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday night. We'll have a ton of info from people that we know on site at Royal Liverpool. We'll be passing all that along into the Discord. We'll be back next week, but I will not be here. Pat, you're riding solo with maybe some guests. You and Tony got to figure that out. I'm going on vacation for my anniversary. I'll be in the Dominican. Can't wait. Thank you for watching the Tour Junkies Golf Show. We hope you have a wonderful Open Championship week and bend over your bookies. See ya. Out.